The man forcefully threw a large amount of US dollars down to the street, instantly drawing a crowd of onlookers. But what they didn't know was that Jack was actually covering for his teammates who were robbing the building next door. Tom and Annie had arrived at the designated location in advance, and after laying out the wiring, they dragged over a steel plate to connect the wiring interface. Then they secured the steel plate in place and drilled a hole in the middle, placing a pre-prepared bomb inside. Finally, they covered it with a mattress to reduce the sound of the explosion. Once everything was ready, Jack pretended to take a step forward, and the crowd below started screaming in shock. But what they didn't realize was that their screams perfectly masked the sound of the explosion, and the police didn't notice anything unusual. At that moment, a huge hole had been blown open in the floor, and the team successfully entered the building and reached the ventilation ducts. Tom used an iron bar to forcibly stop the fan and then bent the fan blades so they could crawl through. After that, he entered the code to bring the elevator up to the top floor, and then climbed down the elevator shaft to reach the floor where the diamond vault was located. Next, they had to pass through the monitoring area, so Tom lay on a skateboard covered with a cloth the same color as the floor. Meanwhile, the security staff were fully focused on the news about Nick throwing cash, completely unaware that someone was sneaking in. When they reached the camera's blind spot, Tom took out a camera and photographed the surveillance view. Then he printed out the photo and stuck it onto a frame, placing the frame in front of the security camera lens. The guards in the monitoring room didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, but before Tom could feel relieved, he immediately ran into another problem. Jack told Tom through his earpiece that this was a heat sensor and that they just needed to lower the temperature to get past it. So they brought over a fire extinguisher and advanced while spraying it everywhere. Finally, they sprayed it directly onto the sensor, freezing it completely. Just like that, the two of them reached the vault door and took out their tools to prepare to enter through the side ventilation duct. But right at that moment, the police discovered Jack's identity. It turned out Jack was the cop who had been arrested a few years ago for stealing diamonds and had escaped from prison just the day before. And coincidentally, the hotel they were in belonged to the Harris Diamond Company, whose diamond exchange was right next door. When the police chief realized this, he immediately notified the head of security to check the condition of the vault. While Tom was working, he suddenly learned that the head of security was on his way there. At that point, they didn't have time to retreat. Jack quickly came up with an idea and pulled out a stack of dollars from his pocket, throwing them down like crazy. When the people below saw the money raining down, they rushed over to grab it, blocking the path of the security guards. Tom and Annie used this chance to quickly pack up their gear and, just 1 second before security arrived, slipped into the ventilation duct.